Somebody was asking if I could make a packing video on how to pack things that are heavy, and the idea is basically the same. I know I made a shipping video before where I was like, psych, gotcha, but I'll go through some of the steps on what you should see, and you can encourage, you know, if you're buying something from somebody, you're like, hey, watch this video. So anyways, this is just a motor. This is a 13W7 motor that someone had spray painted like lavender. I'm building a top assembly for it. And so I don't need it because I have another one here that I can model against. So I'm sending this one now. So basically what you want to do is just bag it. So I'm just using a small wastebasket trash bag that we get, I think on Amazon. We buy them by the thousands. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and just bag it. And then I also got to remove the vent. The screen is unnecessary. I got to remove that. And then typically on most motors, they have a vent here on the top, and then what I do is I tuck it in. You can do it the other way too. You can tuck it in the butthole if you want to. The whole idea though is to keep this from getting any moisture in there. In fact, what I do is I save, let me see if I can grab one, these little packs from a lot of the vendors that I buy from Subwoofers and things like that, or whatever. So, and if you feel like you need them to be top notch, you can put these in a toaster oven or even a regular oven and just leave them on like 200 for like an hour or two, and they'll dry out. So that's how you recycle them if you want. And you can use a big one or a little one. This one just needs a little one, and it just has to be inside the bag. But if it goes someplace like in the South, Texas, Louisiana, or something like that, you definitely, or even fucking on the East Coast, anywhere it's humid, you don't want any humidity to be trapped inside the air and then condense and then cause it to rust and all that kind of stuff. That's what that's for. So this is what I also use in my bag that I hold my rubber vagina. So you know these can be trusted. So let me go ahead and put the bag on, and then we'll go to the next step. All right, so I went ahead and removed the screen. It was barely hanging on by a thread, so that's a good thing to get rid of anyway. The glue didn't hold on it. There's been moisture in it before, not from me, but just throw it away. It's a piece of shit. You can hear the little, what is it, silica bag tucked into the butthole. And then now what you want to do is get an inner box. So typically what I use is an inner box with little to no padding. And what that does is it basically sort of steadies the motor, and it also gives it a little bit more surface area to interact with the foam on the outer box. So, and then as per UPS's guidelines, they want you to have at least 4 inches of high density foam on all sides, at least. So, and that's basically what I do. So let me show you how to do that. Step 1 is to find an appropriate size box. This is, I think it uses 200 or maybe 220 millimeter slugs. So I chose a 9-inch cubed. So let's check this fit. Pretty snug. It'll be a little loose, but you want to pack that either with layers of cardboard and or foam packing. Typically what I do is I just put a single piece of tape here just to hold it in place. And then what I'll do is put at least probably 2 inches. Let me go find some high density foam. There's the whale blubber. I'll carve this piece off. And we'll work for this on both layers. Hey, you guys give me all kinds of compliments when you do open box videos and on this foam. This foam is great. Since the last video I made, to cut this stuff, you just buy a big bread knife. So you can get these on Amazon for $9 or $10. I like this one with the wood handle just because it's lighter. There's another one that I got that looks very, very similar. It's probably made at the same Chinese factory because the blade looks very similar. And it uses an acrylic handle, and it's just heavier. It's just harder to use. So, but I use them both, and I still use the Cutco one, even though I'm like, the wife's not making any bread, so we don't need to worry about that shit. And then basically you just saw through it, whatever you want. You can also use the bread knife as a measuring tool, which is what I do. Like I'll measure the inside of the box and I go, it's okay, it's this wide plus 4 inches or whatever. So then you add 4 inches or whatever. So the other thing when carving this up is you want to just look at it and just kind of eyeball it. And then you can put your finger on where you know that the maximum is. And then you can come in like maybe a 1/2 inch or so and then carve out a piece for yourself. Me, I tend to commit fully, and so I went ahead and did the whole strip. And then I'll go back and cut a little piece there for myself to go on the bottom, and then another piece for the top, or 2 pieces, or whatever it takes to basically pack it in there nice and tight. Remember, if you're going to include any goodies or hardware with the motor, just keep that in mind. So this is for the end client. He had sent me this to process because he didn't feel comfortable, which is fine. I'm including a set of the original hardware, which is just 1/4-20 with Torx pan heads. And then I'm also throwing him in an AV cable extension, USB extender. We just got them, they're surplus from Recoil, and I just give them away as part of the thing. I'm also giving them one of those little cool ratchets. I'm working on a version with a bottle opener, which is going to be cool. So, but I don't want to put it in there because it's going to get crushed. So, but you want to have it near your stuff. So sometimes you want to stage what you're going to pack. So, but right now I'm going to cut some cheese, and then pack them in there. Again, some foam just to show that. I'm going to show the final product here in a sec. So there's the corners. And then when I do the top, I'm going to go ahead and put pieces in like this. You don't necessarily want to use the pole. Sometimes you can use the pole as a way to stage it, or just kind of keep the pressure off the rest of it. Again, it's kind of, you gotta just gamble. So the best thing you can do is just put as much foam in there as you can, tight within reason, because we're gonna seal this up. I've actually shipped motors where we used the paper tape, and the UPS dropped it, and it bounced. The motor bounced because there was so much foam out of the box, and then it broke this tape too, and UPS is not going to repack it. They're just like, oh, that goes in the dumpster. So this is a good video to watch, and just kind of, again, you don't have to do it this way. This is just the way that I do it. Okay. Also, if you do want to put stickers in, this is not the time to put in stickers yet. So I'm actually going to fill this tiny little gap right here with some cardboard, so that when you put this over, you want to have positive pressure, meaning you want it to have push. So if you cut it, you want it to pop just a little bit, not a lot. But, and again, that's part of the art, is finding the good in between, finding the balance. I found some foam that's basically trash, but I turned it into treasure. So, and you got your beef jerky sticks going on. You don't have to go all the way to the edge on this part, on this topper part, because as it comes in, these angles, it's gonna be a little hard to flip over if it comes up all the way to the top. Again, I've done this probably 10,000 times. So do you really need to know this much information to pack your thing? No, but this is what happens when you've done it 10,000 times and you're trying to show somebody else. Sometimes I do a piece here to hold it together. You don't want to overlap. So you'll want to, right? Your craving, your OCD will tell you, yeah, we want it nice and tight. But the reality is that you just need more padding, because this actually provides a lot of strength when they go head to head like that, when they butt up. So also, when you're using a tape gun, you can use your thumb as a brake to stretch it tight, and then twist it, do the twist at the end, and those teeth should pop out and cut the tape properly. Just a little helpful hint. All right, so it's sealed. Now what I do is I do all 3 axes with the string tape. It's reinforced strapping or whatever. What we did to this piece is it got fucked up, and so then we just started using smaller pieces for smaller packages. This one I still use the full, this is I think 3 inch, which is really wide. They also make 2 inch, 1 inch, 3/4 inch. Yeah, I got this from Uline. And basically I'll go through all 3 axes. I don't want this fucker coming out unless you have a knife and some intentions. How much tape is too much? Well, typically what I do is I go all the way around plus 1 more panel. So you go all the way around, and this is where I think it met here, and then I continued down to here all the way. That's to give it some good adhesion. Again, that's my OCD, and sometimes you can use it as a superpower. A little note about the seam. This is the seam, the division between the beginning and the end of the cardboard. This can be actually very sharp. So typically on the outer box, I'll definitely tape this so that the machinery doesn't get caught up on it. And also think of other people. you don't want anybody cutting themselves on this, okay? So just put a piece of tape on it. So that's it. So that's ready for outer box. And so now you want to pick a box size that's appropriate. So this is a 9-inch cube. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we want something that's 13 cubed or larger. So I think I have 14 cubed, so that's a good fit for this one. See how that works? Fooled you, didn't I? It's 4 inches on each side, so you need to be 8. So let's see, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Haha! So this is going to use the 18-inch cubed. And then also if you can use double wall boxes, let's do that. So right now I gotta go to Lowe's to buy some more of those because that's the best price you can find, a double wall box, 18-inch cubed. And so I'm going to go do that. And then I think there was something else I had to do too, but I need it for this shipment. So this, I think I have one other shipment that goes out tonight. But yeah, this is just that. But anyways, I'll be back. Well, it's the next day, but we're back from Lowe's. This is the double wall. Here's the SKU if you want to get real exact. Just so you know, sometimes they change SKUs within different markets. They also change SKUs like every 6 months in case there's a theft. Shrinkage does happen, especially at big warehouse stores. But basically the same thing, which is I'm going to tack up with 2-inch plexi or the plastic tape just to hold it in place. And then while it's empty, that's when I go around the edges because it's just easier to maneuver. I'll do that with the 3-inch string tape, and then it's good to go. And then basically you repeat the process, but this time you're going to put at least 4-inch on all sides. And then that's where you got to balance it. A lot of people make the mistake of putting more padding like on the bottom. Like UPS doesn't. UPS, even if there's arrows on it to tell you that this side is up, UPS doesn't care. It's going to flip and fall, and a lot of this is actually automated now. It goes on a conveyor belt system. I'm sure you can look up the video on YouTube. And especially the Amazon machines are amazing, the way that they control the flow of packages. But again, we're going to get the seal on the side, and then I'll show you here that in a second. One other thing is I tend to hide barcodes just because I'm paranoid about false positives, about a false register, because again these get laser beams are looking all over the package as it goes through the conveyor system. And so typically what I do, especially with the Amazon packages, is I use paper tape because it's opaque to basically cover any or most barcodes, and especially if you're reusing the box that it already processed through UPS, you want to make sure you cover any of those labels or remove them so that you don't get the package redelivered to your house or wherever it came from before. One other note is that these are marketed as moving boxes, and so they've integrated some die cut handles, and what I do is I just tape the inside, as you can see there, because you don't want them to use them. You don't, first of all, as a delivery driver, you never know what's in the box. And a lot of people are thoughtless, so you just tend not to do that. But the biggest thing is so that it doesn't get opened, and then it provides a leverage place for it to rip or cave in or get torn or get caught up on the machinery. When I was in the military, one of the first things they taught us was how to pack a package and how to seal every seam. Look on the side here, like that. Seal those up so that again they don't hurt anybody, and also so that they don't get caught up on any machinery. That's actually the proper way to pack these sorts of things. So, and then I went ahead and put the string tape on them. You want to put it in the middle, which is going to be the weakest part. So that's the part you want to reinforce. Plus it looks cool when you do all 3 axes right on the center. But, and then I'll show you in the last part where I put these flaps in first because they have the most annoying writing, and I don't want anybody to get confused that this is a moving box. It's also the other sides, which is this one. Look at my new shoes, $20 from Walmart. Took, I think, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get here because they can't ship straight from China. But I like this side because this side we do use paper tape to cover that, and then that gives this whole side blank to add for labels. We're gonna put the UPS label on it, and then I back it up with handwritten big block letters to make it easier for the driver to read, and also as a backup in case the label gets torn off. So I went ahead and this is going to be the bottom, and then this is going to be the next piece, which is, again, you just want to use common sense. It doesn't have to go edge to edge. You just have to think about, imagine the box traveling. It just needs to be secured, okay? So however you can figure that out is the best thing to do. And you got to think about that it's going to be tossed and dropped and all that kind of stuff. So you just have to think of it mentally and sort of do a simulation in your head of how to best prepare for a situation like that. You understand? So again, you just want to use common sense. I went ahead and put the sides in there. I like to go the full length on these, and then the pockets get them filled in with pieces. Sometimes I'll cut these in half like that, and then I'll double it up. And it seems to be that it's 2 layers thick on each side, and it has a good tight fit. Again, it shouldn't be like bulging. You want to have a good, just like Adam Sandler says, you want to just stroke at a medium pace. The other thing that I like is I stay below this line because the top piece I want to have pressure on the package that's inside, not on this stuff, because having lots of pressure on this stuff doesn't do anything. This is the piece that's going to move. So you want to have the pressure on that, the positive pressure. Does that make sense? Good. All right, so we got all 4 sets in. It's a little loose on this side, and so what I'm going to do is find some cardboard. You can steal flaps sometimes. I keep a lot of boxes extra. I won't talk about these because too many people abuse these, but if you fold it in half, you're not using it, you're just sending it to the client, and so you're not abusing the privilege of having those. You're just sending free boxes to somebody, okay? So what you can do is fold them in half and then stick them in the side, in this case, just to add a little bit more space to make it a little tighter, that's all. So as you can see, I use that as the spacer, and then the end user will get a free box, courtesy of the United States Post Office. And then we're gonna go ahead and put that in, and then we're just gonna check, because you have to make sure after compression that there's gonna be pressure. If you feel like you need to add another layer, another box. Again, those are free at the post office, and you can also order them by the bundle if you get a commercial account, which I recommend because they actually just changed their policy on the USPS website. It's called Click and Ship. They now have a commercial version which gives you discounted rates, and it also offers a lot of other features that are just more inclined for people that do this at least twice a week, you know, for shipping, for stuff like that. And I do ship all over the world, and Alaska, Hawaii, and all those guys, and so it's good to know those rules and those rates. I have a client in Alaska that I've been shipping to for the last couple of years, and every time I would quote it, I would quote him wrong because I feel like it's too expensive. But don't feel sorry for those guys. Those guys live there. They're used to, like, you know, Little Caesars has deals for like $9.99 for 2 pizzas. Guess what? It doesn't apply to Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, and stuff like that. For those guys, they pay about $16. So it's a little bit different, and they're aware of that. And then if they're military, they get a cost of living allowance, which, and also, you know, typically if you have a job there, you're going to get paid more anyway. It's a distorted bubble, just like if you live in Manhattan or in Los Angeles or something like that. It's a distorted view of the economy, but it's okay, because typically to survive, you have to have a better paying job. So you just pay more in taxes. I think that was it. I'm going to go ahead and tape this up and show you the final product. Oh, I almost forgot the bag of giblets. So if you ever decide to buy a big frozen turkey after you defrost it, inside is the turkey neck, which is disgusting, and a bag of giblets, which is like certain guts that you can use for flavoring and stuff like that. Basically what I do is I wrap these in craft paper. I just happen to do this a lot. You can use newspaper or any other sort of scrap paper, foam, or anything else that you can figure out. So, but I buy this just because it ends up looking a little more professional, and it's very compact. So if you store old newspapers, sometimes they tend to attract cockroaches and bugs, and it's just messy. So this is like, I forget how many feet it is, but it's only like $18 a roll, so it's super cheap. Now, getting this butcher cutter paper cutter was difficult, but I'm sure you can find something like that on Uline. I happened to find this one in New Jersey back in like 2000 when I was working, and I bought it for my wife because I remember being in public schools, and they used to have that big cupboard where they'd open up, and inside was a white butcher paper, and they would pull it out and then peel it off, and then they put it on the table and kids color on it, or you put it down as a like a tablecloth, you know, because kids are messy or whatever. But I got it for her because I thought it'd be just kind of a cool thing that you don't necessarily see in most craft settings. So we had plans to make her like a craft room and stuff like that, which I did, but she just doesn't use it anymore. So about yay. And then I'll wrap this up in that. And then this is now when I include the stickers, because there's a nice flat surface between the foam and the top of the box. So my cut vinyl guy right now is Will Ashland. And so he made all these for us. This is the white on white. This is the bird. I don't know if you can see that up close. So it's just difficult to see. Jizz Llama. And we got the black. I don't have the black birds yet. He'll make those for me. And then we also have the big robots coming. Again, we're going to actually get money for those because the weeding, they end up costing Will a lot more time, and I want to make sure he gets compensated. So, but let's see. That is for the JL client. So we will do, I'll do 2 red ones. Everybody likes red. So, and those are going to go here like that. And then face up, face down doesn't matter because they use plastic to protect it all. And then I'll give them a .com. So, and then as you can see with the paper, it's just meant there to keep it from flopping around, that's all. And making noise inside the package, because that has a whole other rabbit hole of problems, and it attracts people and does stupid things. If you want to throw in some scraps, this is a scrap. You can just throw it in there. Do some other pieces on the side so it doesn't slop around. Let me wrap it up, and when we're done. And that's it. We're going to go ahead and put the waybill right here. We use the waybill system, which it allows a system like Pirate Ship does, which is where Pirate Ship is big enough to contract with UPS to get discounts. And then what they do is they find hundreds, thousands of customers to help meet that contract. And so then they cut you in on it by helping you have a discount. And, you know, technically all they have to do is be cheaper than retail, cheaper than anybody else doing that. But typically the rates are really good, especially when compared to retail. Now, with that noted, UPS still made a profit of $6 billion last year. So they're doing fine. Also on the weight, always round up. And then for me, for my peace of mind, I add 2 pounds. Just in case my scale is off, just in case there's any question about the weight and the rate that I get. So I already get a discounted rate, so I'm not real concerned about $1 or $2 as far as, you know, rates go. And you don't want to be concerned about that. The other one that you want to watch out for is I don't recommend, I don't want to tell you what to do. I don't recommend getting the insurance unless it's something really, really valuable. Even though this is packed per spec to what UPS recommends, and it would qualify if it was destroyed or missing or something like that from the insurance company. The problem is that UPS isn't all UPS. The insurance company that they use is a third party, and their job and their agents get paid every time they deny your claim, right? The same way like sort of health insurance works. There's doctors that are on staff in health insurance companies. They get paid to deny your claim, to deny your need for an MRI or whatever the other doctor recommends. And they get paid more the more that they deny your claim. So that's how the insurance works for UPS. And it's a wasted expense. And it's one of those things like buying an extended warranty, or the, like here in Arizona, they call it the Desert Protection Package, which is a clear coat of paint on the car which they do from the factory anyway, so you shouldn't be paying extra for it when it already comes with that. So a lot of times they try to just force that, and they say, well, it's part of the package, you know, that sort of thing. And so they make the assumption, they assume the sale, which is good salesmanship, but you don't really need insurance. This is your insurance. Double boxed, 4 inches of padding. Is there a risk that it could get lost or stolen or abused? Yes, there always is. And that's what happens when you know, farm out delivering this, however this is going, several thousand miles. So to me, it's worth it, and it's a completely replaceable item. It's not like it's a child. Well, a child is replaceable too, but you know, something like that where if worse comes to worse, I just got to find another dead 13W7 and then send all this shit out again. So it's not the end of the world. Now, if you're just doing onesie twosies and you're just getting started, yeah, it's going to hurt, especially during the Christmas rush. A lot of packages come up missing. And a lot of that is because they farm out the work to a helper that is on the truck with them, and also in the sorting. And also you got to remember that a lot of those guys are just dumb. They're inexperienced. And they also don't give a shit because they're there only for a couple months with the heavy workload during the holidays. And so again, getting mad and taking things personal does not benefit anyone. So I don't recommend those paths of behavior. It's not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. And this goes back to you, which is now if your customer freaks out because of the delay time or whatever, I'm gonna miss the contest or whatever they're crying about, that's on them. So maybe they should plan ahead of time. There was another client recently. I was doing a recon for, I think it was a Black Brick 15. I had a fucking stray cat come through. There was some lightning and there's thunder. It scared. Again, there's not much I can do with stray cats living in my warehouse. They just find their way in here, and I do my best to trap them and deal with them. But I had a client over last night, and I was like, "Why is there pee in my warehouse?" And I was like, "Oh, it's fucking cat piss." So there's nothing I can do. But anyways, the cat got scared, jumped up on the table, and flipped over 2 recon kits and a subwoofer and a couple frames that fell on the floor. And I hate giving that news to people, especially when they're like, "Hey, is you know, my woofer ready, or is my recon ready?" And I'm like, "It's not ready." And they want to have a conversation rather than just saying, "No, it's not ready. I will let you know when it's ready," and then just leave me alone and let me do my job. I think about your guys' orders every day. I'm doing everything that I can in my power. That's one of the reasons why I don't charge a lot. And then especially like, what was it? The one for the Black Brick, he wanted an adapter for a T2 motor, for a Rockford T2 motor. After that accident happened, guess what? His price got really cheap on that adapter, which I normally charge $100 now for. And so I'm like, hey, let me send this out to you real quick. And hopefully that solves the problem. Now, is he gonna make it in time? Is the recon kit gonna make it in time there for his contest? Probably not. So that's why it's important. If you're going to do contests, again, if you do like in drag racing, they'll have like 8 extra engines to every drag race. So if you're doing competition for subwoofers, you should have at least 2, if not 3 or 4 extra subwoofers with you at the contest, fully built, ready to go. Now, if it's something modular, like if I built, then you should have top assemblies that are on there. I had, what was his name? Burgee. Something Burgee. He's basically a old people drug dealer up in Pine Top, and he bought 4 of the GONZO 18s, the big 7Ks, and he was basing so hard the fucking thing shifted, and there's nothing I can do about it. But he still got mad at me and was like, "Hey, this thing's a piece of shit." I'm like, "It's not a piece of shit." I can only imagine how hot you had to get a fucking 600-ounce motor, right? This fucker right here, in order for this glue joint to give out. And again, that's one of the reasons why all the motors that I want to import, if I can, I want to add the bolts to it, just to prevent that. Now, if you get it that hot, it does start to affect the not only the glue joints over time, but also the curry. It reaches the curry point. The flux of the magnets gets lessened, right? The charge, it loses its charge. And so they need to be recharged and re-zapped and things like that. Again, if you're getting your subwoofers that hot, you're basing wrong. You should not be basing that much. You should not be basing that hard. You should not be burning subwoofers at all, ever. And they go, oh, you don't, yeah, you shouldn't be burning them ever. Like if you use a CPU, I got this fucking CPU in here running Windows XP, which I found out why it goes to sleep like that. It actually gets kind of hot. But that's a Duron 900, and I've had it for almost, what, 20 years? It works fine. I use it within parameter. It's fine. If you overclock it, it could go up in dust in 30 seconds, smoke. So don't do that. That's all I can say. Now, if you're not getting the level of performance that you want out of your subwoofers, maybe, this is just a big maybe you need more electricity, more alternators, more batteries, more lithium, more magnet, more subwoofer, more cone area, more excursion to get what you are satisfied with. Now, what I hope you understand is what you're really seeking is a dopamine hit, right? So it's chemical, it's in your mind, it's an illusion. It's a high that you're chasing. So I'm hoping that if you hear this information and now you become aware of this, just go fucking smoke some meth. And then your body will be super sensitive to any bass or anything else that you do, okay? So if you're wanting to get high, use drugs. Don't try to use bass as a way to get high, okay? So again, there's other things that I talk about. I actually want to create a meditation room with bass and some other stuff, but we'll talk about that later. Anyways, this was the video on how to pack heavy things, and I hope you can learn your lesson with this. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And if you want me to talk about something else, I will talk about it. Love you. Bye.